On Odin's arts. When Odin changed shape, his body lay as if asleep or dead. But he was then as a bird or an animal, fish or snake, and in a moment he would travel to lands far away of his own undertaking or for others. And with just a word, he could extinguish fire and calm the sea, and turn the wind to any direction he wished. Odin had a ship called Skibladner that he used to sail across large oceans, but that could be folded together like a blanket. Odin brought with him Mimir's head, and it told him many tidings from other countries. Sometimes he would wake up dead men from the earth, or sat himself under people that were hanged. From this he was called the Ghost Lord, or the Hanging Lord. He had 2 ravens that he had taught to speak. They flew far and wide, bringing him many tidings. All these arts he taught with runes and songs, such as are called galdrar, and therefore are the Æsir called galdrasmiths. Odin knew the art that gave the greatest power, and practiced it, the one called Seider. Through this he could know men's fate and things to come, and so also kill men or bring misfortune or illness upon them, and so also remove their wits or power and give it to others. But these magical arts, when practiced, led to so much grievance that they thought manfolk shouldn't shamelessly run around practicing them. So the priestesses were brought up in this art. Odin knew everything about the riches found in the earth, where they were hidden, and he knew such songs that the earth, the mountains and rocks and hills, they all opened for him. And with his word he bound those that dwelled in them, and went in and took whatever he wanted there. By these powers he became very famous. His enemies dreaded him, his friends trusted him, and set their faith in his powers and himself. He taught most of his arts to the Blodgodar. They were the closest to him in knowledge and the magical arts. But many others learnt much of this, and from there the magical arts have spread far and wide and lasted for a long time. Men practiced sacrificial rites to Odin and his 12 chieftains, and called them their gods, and held that faith long after. The name Audun was so called after Odin, and thus men gave that name to their sons, and from Thor's name derived Thorir or Thorarin. Or they combined with other names, such as Stein Thor or Hav Thor, or shaped them in other ways. Odin's Lawgiving. Odin set the laws of his lands in accordance with what had previously been the laws of the Æsir. So he set forth that all dead men should burn and bring their possessions with them into the fire. He said that such riches would he enter Valhalla with, as he brought with him in the fire, and he would also enjoy what he himself had buried in the ground. But the ashes should be carried out to the sea, or buried in the earth. But after great men, mounds should be made as memorials, and after all men with a good portion of manly courage, menhirs should be raised. And these customs have held long after. Sacrifices should be held towards winter for a good year. During midwinter, sacrifices were to be held for a good crop, and the 3rd sacrifice towards summer, and they were sacrifices for victory. In all of Svishud, men paid taxes to Odin, a penning for each nose, and he would defend their lands from war and pay sacrifices for the year. Njörd's marriage. Njörd took a wife called Skade, but she did not want to live with him and married Odin later. They had many sons. One was called Samingr. Of him wrote Eyvind Skallaspiller thus: Then Skald worshipped, the tax-bearer begotten, by this kinsman of Æsir, with the maid of ironwood. When they dwelt more in the realm of men, the treasured friend and Skadi bred, sea of bones and many sons, Önur this with Odin got. Håkon Jarl the Mighty counted Samingr as his line's ancestor. This Svishud they called Mannheima, and Great Svishud they called Godheima, and out of Godheima they told many stories and of many strange things. So a little bit on the terms in part 4. There are not so many. The first is just a Svitjod, which is like Great Svitjod, which was the Russian areas. Here they're referring just to Svitjod, which most usually is Sweden. And in the kvad, or the poem, taxbearer, I wanted to explain a little bit about this. This kenning is a little weird, and most likely can be maybe translated to other things as well. I tried to use the most literal translation of the kenning that also other people use, and that's taxbearer, and it's to differentiate that Saming, he although an earl and a chieftain, he's still under Odin, and so he is liable, to pay taxes, tax gifts to Odin. Under this is the Norse god of skiing, and it's another name or title given to Skade. Mannheima is simply, the realm or the home of men, and Godheima is the realm or the home of gods. So that's it for the 4th reading. See you next time.